maybe, hi, Greg. Nice to meet you. I'm Karen Kloosterman from Green Profit, and I'm happy to hear a little bit more about you. Maybe you could introduce yourself, where you're from, how you got to America from Canada, and tell us a little bit about your technology.
Sure, sure. As you said, Karen, first of all, it's nice talking to you. Uh, the I'm from Canada, and I've been involved with this company for a good many years. We our roots started in the junior mining business, and about 10 years ago, we came to the conclusion that the mining business is changing because of legislative requirements, because of environmental issues. It was mining had to change. So what we wanted to do at that time is we sold one of our assets in Spain and use those resources to try to find and develop technologies which could bring a eco-friendly aspect to mining. So that's where it all started from.
Mm-hmm.
And
what kind of mining was your business doing? Was it
uh, our, our first project was a tin tantalum uh, uh, mine. We never did actual processing, but we did as the juniors do. We proved up the property, and then we sold it to a larger miner in Spain.
Mm-hmm.
But that was a tin tantalum property. And rather than pursuing digging holes for other properties, as I said, we decided we wanted to try to find eco-friendly technologies that could give a better viewership, if you like, of mining. So from that path, we went into different processes which we've developed over the years. We started off in mining, trying to develop, extract gold from spent, basically old gold properties. And we evolved from there into looking at e-waste, electronic e-waste. And from that, we evolved into the catalytic converter business. And the reason how we got there was simply a very large recycler in Tennessee, who's our partner now, Davis Recycling, said, "Look, if you can do with diesel catalytic converters what you seem to be able to do, I think there's a tremendous market opportunity."
So
that's how we got.
Did this start as an R&D project with Davis?
No, it started with some comments from Davis. And the R&D project was developed ourselves in Vancouver. Okay. So we worked on in our labs in Vancouver for a couple of years, and developed a process which has turned out to be very efficient, and we are just going into our first commercial plant in Tennessee, and very excited about that.
Now, I like the way your company is described as urban miners. I think that's really catchy, and that's really relevant today, right? Because we hear a lot of environmentalists, but also, of course, investors are looking to mitigate risk, and environmentalists are looking to, make the world better. And this cradle to cradle idea that if you build a product like a car or an automobile, that everything from the beginning to the end can have a new life. And
that's crucial. I mean, that's a really, it's a key point within the automotive industry, within the chemical industry. These large automotive companies, they've got shareholders that they want to appease as well, and their shareholders are becoming more vocal, if you like, on sustainability and the environment, and so the whole concept of cradle to grave or or it's the circular economy. There, large companies are just really trying to find ways where they can use recycled or recovered materials to build the new materials. So our ability to do that in an eco-friendly manner has got some of these companies' attention. There's no question about that. So, I mean, urban mining is a trick term. I mean, it's simply, I mean, mining is a tough business. I mean, you're out in the elements, and who knows what you're going to encounter. I mean, we can mine 365 days a year indoors. So it's kind of a cliche, urban mining, but we can do that in an eco-friendly manner. We'll be going down the path as we mature here on the ability to attract carbon credits. So it all falls under the mode which you were just talking about right now.
Now, I live in the Middle East, and I've traveled to Syria, I've traveled to Egypt, Turkey, Jordan, and I see a lot of really old cars, and they were never new. A lot of these cars were imported as old jalopies, and we see that in Africa now, where Canadians may be selling their car for an EV, or Americans may say, okay, now we want to transition to that, but there will be for many, many, many years to come, probably a very big market, starting, of course, in North America, but then going into developing countries as well. Could you talk a little bit about your findings there?
Yeah, it's a huge market, Karen. Even in North America, people are thinking that EVs are going to electric vehicles are going to take over, and what's going to happen to our business? Well, it's EVs aren't going to even make a dent in our business for a long time. The large portion of diesel catalytic converters come from transportation vehicles, off-road vehicles. There's industrial applications. Anytime you see a smokestack out there, it's got a diesel catalytic converter associated with that. So it's a market that's growing very rapidly. Just to give you an idea, I mean, I believe in early 2020, it was around $25 billion a year of diesel catalytic converters. 2025 is going to be $40 billion. So I mean, that's 50% growth. So it's not going away anywhere soon.
Okay, let's say I'm someone who has some money to invest. Maybe I represent some investors or some bankers, and I really like this idea, and I'm looking for a solution like this. Maybe you could walk us through the process. Like, will I invest in a new facility, and will there be a specific return on investment? Like, how do the numbers work? If you could walk us
through. Well, we're a public company. We're trading on the in Canada on the TSX Venture, and in the United States on the OTCQB. So we're a liquid company. So investors normally, obviously, in a company such as ours, would purchase the stock in that company on the open market, and that's so they can invest in us just like any other public company.
Okay. But what if I wanted to build a facility? So I came to you and say, okay, here I have $4 million, $10 million. I mean, what would it take? Or you just say, okay, put that capital in shares, and we'll put this in our pipeline? I mean, how
I see. No, typically we've had some interest from outside of North America. I'll say that, and so with the right partners in place, our growth expansion is going to obviously go internationally, and typically a partner the funds that you were talking about will be an investment in the plant itself. And we would be having some type of relationship with that particular partner in that particular country. So people who want to get involved in a big way uh, their funds are allocated for a plant in that particular region.
Okay. So besides the shares that you have on the public market before you went public, who are the main shareholders in your company? Like who is the team and who are your investors? Can you tell us a little bit about them?
Sure. Our investor base is we call it a retail base. These are a lot of individual investors who have liked the opportunity and invested in the company itself through the public markets. Um, as we show proof of concept, which like the plant which I'm talking about, we're just starting April 1st is our target date to begin commissioning in that plant, our first module. Uh, our plants will have four modules per plant, but our first module is being commissioned April 1st. That will take approximately, we'll say 90 days to complete from start to finish. And then it will be in full bore production if you like. So our that's the proof of concept. Our expansion is going to follow very quickly after that.
Okay, and there are two main materials that you're mining for right now. Is that correct?
Yeah, the two main materials we're recovering now are platinum and palladium, and both of these precious metals are used. Well, they're used in multiple of industries, from pharmaceutical to industrial to commercial. But the catalytic converter market is one of their main uses of these particular um, metals. And so, yeah, those are the two which are predominantly present in diesel catalytic converters, and those are the ones which we're going to recover initially. Um, in gasoline catalytic converters, you get rhodium as well, which we'll be pursuing in our next phase.
Are you looking for any R&D partners right now?
From an R&D perspective, you're always looking at improving what you have from a technology perspective. Uh, so yeah, if the right company showed itself, we'd obviously be interested in speaking with that company for sure. Because hey, technology improves on an ongoing basis. So if we can if you can build a better mousetrap, of course we're going to be pretty interested talking to that particular company.
When I heard about your company, I really thought like this is the future. You know, if we see futuristic movies of like Mad Max or, you know, where we're going, that it's, you know, there is only a finite amount of resources on this planet. So, you know, it's all going to have to be recovered at some point, some way or another.
You're absolutely right. And platinum and palladium or precious metals are no different. I mean, just for I mean, I don't want to spend a lot of time on diesel catalytic converters here, but it's an enormous market which people have no idea how large it is. Um, there's only about 30% of the precious metals recycled annually. Uh, the rest goes into landfills. It's discarded. It's wasted. So just the diesel catalytic converters, over $20 billion a year, are being discarded. So if you take a look at in the real world what it takes to find a platinum palladium mine, what it takes to mine it, what it takes to produce $20 billion worth of those precious metals annually, it's a huge footprint. And you're absolutely right. I mean, you have to. The world is going to go on through recycling, and you just can't. It's harder to find new mining resources now, which everybody knows. It's more expensive to mine. So there's a limit to what you can do on the mining side.
On a smaller scale, my dad he worked for General Motors for probably 30 or 40 years in the automotive industry, so I know it well. And after he retired, he started scrapping metals. And it was actually a lucrative business for him. And I used to think it was so pointless. Like he'd come home with these big coils of copper wires and whatnot. And I'm like, why are you bothering with all this stuff? And he says, this is just money lying on the side of the road. I mean, how can I not pick it up? Is a practical Dutchman, So, I mean, do you feel like that also, that feeling in your heart or your stomach? Like, I mean, this is just stuff lying on the side of the road. This is just stuff going to landfill. So, I mean, someone's got to do it. And it's amazing if there's a beautiful business model.
Yeah, no, it is. And like up until now, the only commercially viable way of recovering platinum and palladium um, from these catalytic converters were smelters, and and they still are the only commercially viable way. And smelters are maxed out, as everybody knows. They've got emission limits set on them. There's a lot of restrictions on them, so they're sort of cherry picking what products they want to produce, and so the ones with where they can make more money are the ones which they're going after. And the other issue with catalytic converters, diesel catalytic converters with smelters, is that it creates real processing issues for them. So they would rather not touch them at all, period. And a lot aren't. So here we have a tremendous need of what are we going to do with these diesel catalytic converters? And luckily, we'll be the first company to get involved in it in a commercially viable manner without the use of a smelting technology.
Now you're a Canadian, and I'm a Canadian, and we probably both know that Canadians are crazy about environmental issues and may even, like Sweden, be leading the global conversation about how things can be done better. Could you agree to?
Yeah, Canada is really proactive in the area, on the environmental side. So, I mean, there are multiple opportunities in well, not just Canada, and actually the U.S. as well is very becoming more and more aggressive in the area of let's look at it from the green perspective. Let's look at it from the carbon emission perspective. So there's a push there to give companies such as ours a possible assistance, if you like, to get across the goal line to make it commercially viable technology.
Right, and that said, because of the interests of Americans and large American businesses, there are carbon tax credits and the Inflation Reduction Act, if that's correct. And so maybe you could talk about opportunities there, like for shareholders, when a lot of these things come into effect, how that's going to affect your company and the value of your company, because there'll be lots of other things your service product, can do for business.
Yeah. Well, what we'll be seeing with our company, both it'll start off in the U.S. here, is that up until now we haven't sourced government funding for what we're doing, and we'll call it our R&D path so far. But now with the proof of our technology, we are going to grow pretty aggressively, I believe. There is a opportunity for us to get associated with the federal and the state officials, whereby we will be getting some assistance to go to different markets for job creation or whatever. And so there are ample programs available to us, which we are beginning to source. And it'll benefit our shareholders because these will be funds coming from a government, not from shareholders. So there won't be any dilution at all to the company, and we can expand our business in that manner.
Okay, maybe one last question. From your point of view, what do you think young engineers, young MBA students looking to get into recovery of metals and resources, what areas are really hot right now? Maybe 3 areas for them to sort of look into if they're interested in what the kind of thing that you're doing.
Sure. I mean, it's a market that's going to grow exponentially. There's no question about it. I mean, everybody knows what the path is on lithium batteries and how to recover lithium from spent electric vehicle batteries. There's many companies going after that. What a lot of people don't or aren't aware of is the huge potential on the hydrogen fuel cells, and there's a lot of work going on behind the scenes, which you don't seem to hear about a lot about it, but they're making great headway. And hydrogen fuel cells use a tremendous amount of platinum. I mean, it's just I think it's going to be one of the prime markets of the future. And so to have the ability to recover platinum from hydrogen fuel cells, it's going to be massive. And but it's just not. I mean, any precious metal that if you're involved in the recovery of that, you're putting yourself into a very attractive industry if you're a student or an engineer. I mean, there's such geopolitical problems stretched across the globe right now. I mean, most of platinum palladium is produced in South Africa, second Russia. I mean, Russia is, well, we all know what's going on there. South Africa's got a huge infrastructure problem on their electrical grid. It's a problem which is going to get compounded in the future. So I strongly, if you're interested in engineering and the recovery of precious metals, you've got a strong future ahead of you.
I forgot, I had another question, if it's okay.
Sure. Sure.
I wanted to ask about what you think you could do in the petrochemical industry, because the Middle East, it's sort of about oil and gas, and there's a lot of diesel reactors in Egypt and other countries. And we talked already about catalytic converters, putting them right on the smokestack. But are there some other areas that you can work in, like more at the source of the hydrocarbon industry?
For ourselves, no, not really. I wish we could, but our hands are full. Believe me, our hands are so full. We'd have a hard time scratching the surface aggressively with this diesel catalytic converter market. So, but yeah, I mean, there's companies in Canada that are already looking at what you're saying right now. There's going to be vast improvements in technology in the petrochemical space in the very, very near future.
Thanks, Greg. I appreciate your time. And is there anything I didn't ask you that you'd like to mention?
Well, I mean, it was great talking to you. I mean, we're definitely going to be involved in the carbon credit space, the green fund space, if you like. We fit a need. We fit a need which there's nothing out there right now presently which can do what we can do commercially. So we expect to be exposed a lot in media familiar to what you are doing, put it that way. And we see ourselves as strong corporate citizens in the environmental side, and very pleased to be that way.
Okay, well, thank you very much for your time, and I wish you luck.
Thank you, Karen. It's great talking to you.